Thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were speaking with the governor of Nasarrawa State, Abdullahi Sule, and he was talking about how important it is to reconcile the people of the state because of the various sentiments we saw play out across the country with regards to ethnic and religious sentiments leading up to the election. And quickly, Mr. Governor, now that we have talked about all of that, you have been affirmed. Let's look at developments. What's next for the state, developments that you are looking forward to before you leave office. Recently, you got the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, was in the state to address the matters of mining, for instance, the mining sector. And we have seen some state governments speaking very seriously with regards to the matters of illegal mining and how states can, take advantage of this. And now that you have got licenses, what's next?
Well, just coincidentally, just 5 days ago, I was again with Mr. Dele Alake, on the same issues of this mining. Because the moment I came in, we decided that we will look at some areas of competitive advantage in Nasarawa State when it comes to mining for the state. And so we realized that we have some large commercial quantities actually of lithium in the state, and lithium being one of the most sought minerals today in the world market. So we went and applied and now obtained a license, for mining of lithium. We also obtained another license for the mining of tin, and then the last one we also obtained for the mining of gold. We discovered that, close to Abuja here in Karu local government, there is an area that has some good percentage of gold deposits in there. So we obtained a license for that. So yesterday, in fact, that's the main reason why I'm in Abuja. Yesterday, it was the Nigeria-India, summit on the economy, trying to bring the two countries together. So I was invited as one of the governors to speak. And the areas of interest, clearly, were three, and that's what I presented. One is this area of mining that I have just told you. The second part, Nasarrawa State is blessed, when it comes to land for agriculture. So we spoke at length on the areas of agriculture, with most of the investors. The foreign minister of India, I came in together with a large delegation of possible investors. So we were there with them at Transcorp yesterday, and that's what brought me actually to Abuja. And then the third area, which is more important, the governor of Gombe and I were also yesterday at the same site. So that one is now on the oil and gas, which, by the way, is my own background, as you know. So as you also know, we have two major discoveries onshore, for oil and gas in northern Nigeria. One is indeed in Nasarawa, and the other one in Gombe. So the two governors were there yesterday, and we discussed also on those particular issues with some of the Indian investors. So there is a lot of focus on agriculture, on mining, and on oil and gas. But we are focusing a lot on education, especially education that will make graduates independent. That is technical and vocational education. So we've been promoting that. We've been sponsoring a lot of programs, that are going to go into that. Of course, empowerment and other things are ongoing. We'll continue to expand on that, especially at a period like this, when I think the whole states are getting improved revenue more than what you used to see. So we're trying to take advantage of that revenue. And that's why in Nasarrawa State, we developed what we call an infrastructure fund. That particular fund, which is 5% of our IGR, is supposed to de-risk what the investors will be afraid of. So we set that aside and see other areas that will help, to take care of de-risking the investors' fears, when it comes to Nasarrawa State. Of course, we have also what we call the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy, which is a document, that will be like a roadmap for whoever wants to invest in the state. And then we have what we call the NACIDA, which is an agency for investment that is going to help, and actually hand carry an investor for investor to be able to register his company, to be able to do all his tax documentation, land administration, everything, and then to obtain all the approvals just in one particular spot, and that is the NACIDA. So we came to discuss all those things yesterday. So there is a lot of work to do in education, in the civil service reform, in health, in that, and then we'll just continue with that, and then, of course, the areas of investment.
Yes, Governor, you talked about mining and stuff. In the issue of mining, we have a lot of problems in the country. We saw what happened in Ibadan. They have all kinds of people who have mining licenses. In Bauchi, there was a report, I think, from the governor complaining about how some traditional rulers have taken over mining. There seems to be chaos in the mining industry, and this is like a big source of revenue in the country. What do you think is going on? Why is it that we cannot get the mining situations together? It looks like we are in a situation where people are now taking advantage of our resources. Our people are working with foreigners to milk our mines while we watch in poverty.
You are perfectly right. And to be fair to the previous administration, we started working towards that, but unfortunately we were not able to conclude that. But I'm happy that Honorable Minister Dele Alake has now taken it upon himself, and he's driving this. You know the reason why the problem is, as you mentioned, you know, the mining licenses are being allocated, you know, without the consent or any part of participation by the state government. So from the cadastral office here, you know, somebody is just going to ask a company, go and get consent from the community. So the people go, and you know, some of these communities, there are conflicts between them. And we're having a lot of those conflicts in Nasarawa State today where there is lithium. You know, just God so kind, we're having a lot of security presence in the area, so there has not been any outbreak of law and order. But the main problem is that, you know, the arrangement is somebody will bring a consent license from the community and he's awarded a license. So, and we started discussing it. I said the problem, we discussed it at NEC, you know, and said the problem is that if the minerals belong to the federal government, the land belongs to the state because of the Land Use Act, you know, and then the communities now just give you a consent a document that, yes, we agree for you to be obtained a license, and then you are given a license. You know, so if you remember, so a lot of these people come in, mine, and they are not even interested in processing. They just take the minerals out. A good example is the lithium that I will give you. Everywhere you find lithium, there is likelihood that you are going to find nickel in the area. So you find people taking you a nickel in the name of lithium for free, because the communities don't even know the difference between their right and wrong. They don't even know the meaning of this document until you show them the meaning of these minerals, until you show them and say, this is nickel, this is copper, this is titanium, this is that. The people don't know, you know. So this is exactly what is happening until the federal government and the state government come together and reform the mining arrangement, which I think the minister is doing the best he can, you know, to show that we do that. Otherwise, it's a huge problem, and this illegal mining will continue, you know, because licenses that are being given to people, you know, the people who are coming know exactly what they are doing, and they know exactly what they want. But how about the communities where this is done? In no country will this kind of thing be happening. You know, you can't go to any particular country, I don't want to call any particular name, but you can't go there. For some of us who have lived in places like the US, and I have worked in so many other countries around the world. You know, I work in Bolivia, I work in Brazil, I have seen what they have there and places like that. You can't just go into those countries and say you go to a local community, villagers, obtain a consent, go to the ministry, obtain a license, and just out of nowhere you just come and start mining. Only when they have a problem, then the state government gets to know. You know, that is unheard of. And I think so that is the reform that has to be done, and I think it's being done. Yeah.
Right, and
Another major concern now in Nasarrawa State is the subject of kidnapping, of security generally. A lot of attention has been, ugly attention, so to speak, has been on the neighboring FCT, which has more or less, spilled into Nasarrawa State. This appears to be a problem that you have been battling with even in your previous tenure. What inroads are you, hoping to do? What action plan are you working at this time around to ensure a safer Nasarawa for residents?
Well, we continue to empower the, it depends from one area to another. Talk of the schools, for instance. At some of the schools, we continue to have this kind of a problem. The university in Kefi, the university in Lafia. Because and a lot of times it happens off campus. It's people who are off campus that are doing this. So I will give you an example with the university in Kefi. University in Kefi, we don't have even up to 10% of the students that are on campus. A lot of them live off campus. And that's the reason why they live in very, very shanty areas that are easy, and they are prone areas for this kind of kidnapping. So we have gone into some arrangement with a PPP arrangement where some other investors will come and construct hostels within the campus, and then once they do that, there is enough security in the campus, and we'll continue also to improve on the security on campus to ensure such things do not happen. This is one. In the university in Lafia is similar, to what it is. Now, with the various other spots outside the institutions, what we have done, we are working with the security agencies. They are improving on, for instance, today, we have 2 military super camps in Nasarrawa State. In some of the areas where kidnapping used to be very, very prone. We have a squadron of mobile policemen in certain places also that are prone to that, like in Toto, in Nasarawa, Igon, and the rest of that. And we continue also to promote some of the local people, as part of the vigilante groups, so that they can also help in providing the intelligence to our own people, into our own security agencies, so it will help. Security is the responsibility of everybody, so you can't leave anyone outside. So that's why in most cases, we continue to engage all the major stakeholders during our security meetings. We have had a lot of security meetings. I can't even tell you the number, believe me, where we will have traditional the rulers, apart from the normal security agencies, the army, the police, the DSS, civil defense, Air Force, and the rest of that. Then you will have also traditional rulers, religious leaders, and youth leaders, and the rest, all to come together, and then we share. We say what is going to be done next. Those are the kind of meetings we keep having, and we'll continue to do that. And also we continue to provide logistics and support and equipment, for the security agencies that are working, to improve. But that is a national problem, and every state has to do its own part.
Right. Now, you recently signed into law the state's 199.8 billion naira budget for the 2024 fiscal year, and you tagged the budget of renewed commitment. Talk to us about this and how you're going to ensure implementation and performance of this budget.
Well, what we did was that, coming from the private sector myself, what I did is to be realistic. It's probably one of the lowest budgets in the country, but I told people we need to be realistic. There is no need to go and build 500 billion naira budget when we are not sure of revenue of 300 billion naira. So we became more realistic on the budget. And if you go month by month, in the month of January, that's the way we do our budget. This 199 billion divided into 12, and then start with the month of January. Have you been able to make, the kind of revenue that you are going to make in that 1 month? So I think so far so good. In January, we have surpassed our revenue. So it goes into the next, and then we're hoping it will continue. If it continues, then we will have surplus in the budget. And that's what, for me, that's a better budget than a budget to have a huge deficit, where you will now have a budget and your performance and your revenue is not even up to 60%, because that's what a lot of states do in the country. So we're trying to look for a budget that at least 80 to 90% performance is there, both on the area on both sides of the balance sheet, both on the revenue side and on the liability side, that we do. So those are the kinds of things we do. So it's a budget that also focuses on education, because 40 billion out of that amount goes straight to education. Education is one area that Nasarrawa State is lacking a lot. Then it is also a budget where it's almost 50-50, for operations as well as the area of infrastructure, that we are having. Because Nasarrawa State needs a lot of infrastructure in order for us to even improve on the revenue, especially rural electrification that we have, rural roads that we are going, water supply, and the rest of that. So we are doing a lot in those areas. We are also doing some parts, as far as the ICT is concerned, which is all parts of the education that we are doing. So that's where the budgets are going to focus, in that area.
Talking about revenue, the federal government, especially the Tinubu government, has been giving a lot of money to the states, and people are still complaining that they're not getting the money from the states. What's going on? That governors are collecting money, the people are not seeing it. Every month, trillions are announced and money given to governors, and people are not seeing the money.
Okay, I don't know which states you are talking to. In Nasarawa, I don't believe any reasonable person will tell you they are not seeing the money. In the last month, for instance, no, I'm serious. In the last month, for us, the 2 billion that people talk about so much, governors received 2 billion and pocketed the money. In Nasarawa, we have done this palliatives thing 3 times, out of that 2 billion. In fact, we spent far more than 2 billion. In addition to that, from our own resources, we have been given this 10,000 naira to the civil servants. We realized the local government was unable to do. We came now to assist the local government to ensure the local government has done. We are not owing any part of pension, any part of salaries of the workers, ever. All our infrastructure, that we are doing. Now we have so many projects all over the state, and all this infrastructure are being paid. And I will give you a good example. A good example is when we were receiving Senator Ewuga into the party, and the national chairman of the party wanted to come in. But the national chairman said, if I'm coming, can you give me some projects to commission? I say, how many projects do you want, Mr. Chairman? We don't have very big projects for you yet. They are not ready, like our secretariat, our expressways, our dualization, our that. Some of them are 95%, 85%, completion. But if you are looking for some roads to do that, how many do you want? He said, like 3. We say, okay, come, you will actually commission 5, on that. All these have been paid for. You were here recently, I think, just about 2 weeks ago, when we invited the Vice President to come and commission one of the most important roads that people have been fighting for several years, from the area of when FCT was just being even created, in Luvu area. It's been finished. It's paid for, and there are so many projects like that all over the state. So when they say they are not seeing, I don't know, unless they want the cash to be kept in one place so that they can come and see it. But if they want to see it in form of projects all over the state, there are projects, and whatever are our responsibilities to the people, we have been following up with those processes. That's all I can tell you.
But Mr. Governor, still on the subject of security, which you have addressed, also in the news that we encountered in the papers this morning was, the arrest of the national president of the Miyetti Allah Association over the creation of a security unit, a vigilante unit in Nasarrawa State to help in the issues of insecurity, kidnappings, and the like. What's your reaction to that? This kind of intervention to quell insecurity in your domain?
That is another very unfortunate incident that has happened. For me, when it comes to security, I allow the security agencies to do their work. I don't want to go and delve myself into areas that I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the experience to do that. What happened in this particular instance that you are discussing is that there are some of these, various communities that have their vigilante group. One of those vigilante groups I know is the Fulani vigilante group. So they have a vigilante group. So each time they wanted to do something, we send them to the security agencies to go ahead and do that. I was actually here in Abuja when I was told that they decided to reorganize themselves and launch the security group. And some of the security agencies were there. But something happened, probably that is not supposed to happen. And probably now, I was told they invited the Miyetti Allah. They are mixing the two. Miyetti Allah is completely different from Fulani Vigilante Group. So if the Fulani Vigilante Group, which they now rename it Nomad Vigilante or something like that. And I told them, I don't know the meaning, I don't want to be part of it, discuss with the security agencies and do that. So I think they went to Lafia, when we were here in Abuja during the Supreme Court judgment, and decided to have that. And then yesterday night, while I was again here, in Abuja, I was told that they invited the leader of Miyetti Allah in order to question him in the area. So this morning when I woke up, I came here. I don't know exactly what is happening. But I will say it is something strictly between the security agencies and the vigilante groups. We have so many vigilante groups in Nasarrawa State. People sometimes just form one group or the other in order to help their own particular communities. But as a state, I do not sanction state police from the beginning when I mentioned that. So I cannot be seen again to be sanctioning any ethnic or any community group, with the exception of the community police, which we participated during the former IG, Mohammed.
All right, one quick question before we let you go, Mr. Governor, is the matter we hear that you have said that you are no longer going to go in or put, you have no intention rather to run for any office after your tenure elapses. Isn't it too early to retire?
People sometimes ask hypothetical questions and they get hypothetical answers. But I think one of the leaders asked me to be very careful in the way I answer some of these questions. Because I'm blunt and I'm straightforward when it comes to answering questions. So I think it was shown on channels, who asked me the question, are you going to run for the office of Senate like other governors are doing? I say, I have no intention, absolutely no intention. He said, how about governor? I say, I'm sorry, how about president? I say, president also no intention. I don't have any dream. My dream right now is to finish my office, as a governor. And actually, when I came in only to be a governor and to run for governor. The following day, I saw all the kinds of publications in the papers. I had a similar thing 1 year after I came to office, and some people who said I was not spreading money on the street were calling me one-time governor, one-time governor. And so somebody asked me, one journalist asked me a question there, and he said, are you worried about people calling you one-time governor? I said, no. I never thought I was even going to be one-time. I never thought in my life I was going to be a governor. All I wanted was to be a top-notch engineer that God has blessed me, and I have been in the oil and gas sector, in the steel sector, and of course in agriculture. I say I have been, and I thank God for that. I never even thought I was going to be a governor. So if it is God's wish that I will do one term, so be it. I will finish the one term and then go and do other things, in some places. Then I mentioned about places that I will travel to. Again, people say, I promised I was going to do only one term. How come I'm not doing one term? So I will not answer your question because of these kind of things, because I may end up again saying something that you will tell me another thing altogether. That's the position.
It's interesting to know, though. Anyway.
Yes, okay. Very quick question. Martin Luther King said the other day, he said, if you can't fly, you should run. If you can't run, you should walk. If you cannot walk, you should crawl. But whatever means, keep moving. So where were you when all of this thing was going on, when you were waiting for the Supreme Court judgment? Were you flying? If you were not flying, were you running? Were you crawling? Which of them? Or were you going through hell? Churchill said, if you are going through hell, keep going.
So I was flying. That's why you couldn't see me. Because you were looking for me everywhere, you couldn't see me because I was flying. I was just flying.
All right, and that's a fine place to leave this conversation this morning. We must thank you, Governor of Nasarrawa State, Abdullahi Sule, for your time on the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.